Hey everyone, this is Mullin. I'm going to be doing an in-depth analysis of a solo queue match I played earlier today. The map and mode is going to be Urchin Underpass Splat Zones. I'm going to be using Slosher, and we'll see what the rest of the compositions are. So I'll go ahead and play this. So on our team, as you can see, we have myself as the Slosher, Dynamo Roller, Crack-On Roller, and Octoshot. The opposing team has a Splash-O-Matic, 2 Octoshots, and a Dynamo Roller themselves. So looking at purely the compositions, they have a bit more aggression with 3 shooters that are highly mobile. We both have a Dynamo Roller that's going to be controlling plat and painting into zone. They have 2 heavy depletion Krakens, a heavy depletion Echolocator, and a light depletion Suction Rush. Whereas we have the heavy depletion Echo, 1 heavy depletion Zuka, a medium depletion Kraken, and a light depletion Ink Strike. So they have 3 heavies and a light, and we have 2 heavies, a light and a medium. So we're a little bit better as far as Special Saver is concerned. And we have a tiny bit of a range advantage. So pulling up the map, the rollers and the Octoshot, the Crack-On Roller and the Octoshot, are going to be trying to get control of their hill for our team. I'm going to be controlling our hill, our left side zone, and preventing them from using their drop-off. Their shooters are going to try to control their hill, move into our plat, and get into our hill. And the Dynamos are going to stay more or less on the plat, flicking ink to try to control mid, this whole area, and to paint the zone. So off the bat, I'm going to be going towards our hill, and right now I'm looking at my gamepad to see where the opposing team is going. You see that not one of them went drop off, so you're going to see their Splash in the corner coming after our roller, and the it's going to be a trade 1-for-1 there, the Splash-O-Matic for our Kraken roller. So that's going to mitigate our presence on their hill, which is why you're seeing them take control of right side mid. We're keeping control of our hill pretty well. That was the first Suction Rush that went off to try to get control of mid. You're seeing both teams kind of lag players behind. This is my first Ink Strike. I'm trying to use it to take control of zone. I also want to talk about, this is basically when the game is at neutral. So when you're exchanging kills, not a whole lot is going on. No team is really in control of mid. You can see that they've been getting onto our plat. We now have somebody trying to get onto their hill, but it looks like he was taken out. So this is the second Suction Rush coming out by the Splash-O-Matic trying to get control, and our Dynamo takes him out. Let's talk about that. That was a very unsafe position for the Splash. So why the Dynamo and the Slosher, why we like to stay on hill, is because our weapons are much better at fighting when we have the height advantage. So him throwing his bombs through mid was a really good idea, right? Because he's able to paint zone. But being in this area against a Slosher and a Dynamo that are on hill is always going to get you killed. He could have just Suction Rushed and moved back. I believe he was trying to push up onto our hill, but it just didn't work out. And we're going to quickly repaint our hill and our left mid. So right now both teams are echoed. This is a period of time where everybody sees everyone. Got another Ink Strike ready. Again, this is all neutral, but they've managed to push us back just a little bit. We've been bleeding numbers, trying to get into their hill, and our teammates are unfortunately dying a little bit. I'm trying to avoid this Ink Zuka, and again, they were able to pick off a free kill. I'm going to try to paint zone here. This is actually a very dangerous move, and I genuinely don't recommend doing it This I would honestly call a bad play. There was no reason for me to overcommit here into zone. If this Dynamo ends up killing me, they take control of zone, and they take control of our hill. Fortunately, I'm not going to get punished for it, and I do back up before trying to press onto the suicide area on the right side mid. So again, here get a pretty decent free kill off the Dynamo, and they're using another Azuka, and I'm ink striking zone. My team has been pretty consistently down on the kills, and we've been getting ever so slightly pushed back, but I would consider this game still more or less in neutral. They've had better control of their plat and their hill just throughout this game. Again, you're going to see me go into zone while a suction bomb rush is going off, and I'm going to get absolutely punished for it, and they're going to take control. If not for our Kraken picking up 2 kills there, that would have been a really terrible situation. So right now we're jumping back into mid. Again, you can see that we haven't yet gotten complete control of mid, and that's really hurting us. And again, just taking that drop off and being on this right side while we have control was unnecessary. I could have easily just been on our hill and waited out the Inkzuka like you saw me do previously. But in essence, this was 2 wasted deaths, and that's, you know, 2 long spawn times where I'm not participating in the engagement, and as a result, we lose control of hill. They're able to neutralize quickly, and they're able to get it back. Now, what I'm doing here, I don't actually want to go off drop-off without having some cover. So I'm using this area to get my Ink Strike, and I'm going to use the Ink Strike to cover my approach into mid. So I'm going to Ink Strike zone and drop in, and that way we get control and force the penalty. So then just cleaning up our hill, and now we're in, this is the first time in the match that we've actually been in control. So it's a 3v3, we have control of zone, you can see that there's ink already on their hill, and we just got a kill on our hill. So now is when I feel safe to kind of pressure just a little bit, but I still want to be making sure that they don't get through their drop-off. Because if they approach me from drop-off right now, that would be really bad. So we're taking control now, and we're able to actually pressure their hill. But again, you don't want to overcommit. You want to pressure and then fall back. You don't ever want to give up free kills and give advantage to your opponent. So I'm just going to sit here, Shark. Again, this is very greedy, standing up and trying to get this Dynamo here. Fortunately, I get the trade, but that was a 1 for 2. It's a 2v1 on our side. I believe our Octo Shot took out some other members of their team, but that was an engagement that I didn't have to take, being in control. And if I don't get the trade there, and he's able to push into mid, like I just die, then that's probably going to cost us control of the zone, and then we'll lose control. This is a poor jump by the Dynamo. He ends up not getting a kill out of it, and we don't get a kill out of it, so a little bit of bad play on both teams' part. Again, just sharking here, trying to get free kills when I can while they're moving into mid to try to get back control. So this game had a lot of back and forth, and now that we're in control, we're able to, again, watch their drop-off and pick up the free kills. I'm able to control their plat, and then the last-ditch effort to control the zone before the game ends results in nil. So in essence, the vast majority of that game was played in neutral, or with us ever so slightly behind. Now what changed is that, I want to go back, so this is when we're at A560. So what changed is once we got control of the hill, which happens right about, so from when I drop into mid, and now this is down, they have no penalty, with 2 minutes remaining in the match. So 3 minutes of the match was played with us at neutral or very slightly down. So what ended up happening? So you're going to see there that was a wasted Inkzuka. So they have heavy depletion. So now that's one Inkzuka down, and we are now in control. This is what happens when teams run heavy depletion compositions. They are less good compared to teams that have special saver or more special saver due to less depletion at taking back control. So this team doesn't have a good way to get us out of mid once we're here. The only option they have is the dynamo to flick, but the shooters actually have to get into engagement range before they can kill us. And this is how quickly a game can turn. And this is how quickly, like, you can go from playing behind to getting a knockout. So they were able to get penalty on us here. But even getting a slight penalty, we've maintained control from the 2-minute mark, you know, all the way to the final minute of the game. And once we have control of their hill and plat on Urchin underpass, that's pretty much game. You're going to see again, an Inkzuka go off without any kill. And then this guy dropping from their drop-off completely blind in desperation is going to get taken out for free. And then again, the dynamo just going in. This is why you need to organize your pushes and make sure that you're disciplined when you're playing from behind. Because if you're not disciplined when you're playing from behind and you give up free kills, it's going to make it incredibly difficult to take back control of the zone and of mid and of the match. So if you look at just the KDs in this game, you might say that because our octo shot went 10-3, because I went 7-3, that the other team simply got outskilled. That's not the case. They had one octo shot that went 11-6, 1-1. Their splash didn't do too hot, but these guys are mainly painting. But again, they were in control for 3 out of the 5 minutes. What's really important to note is that from the beginning of the game, I was able to get 3 ink strikes, and my first death only came when I was getting very greedy against this suction rush that happens a lot further in than I initially realized. Okay, so this is very far in. So I believe it happens around there, 250 something, thereabouts. So more or less, yeah. So this is my first death in the game. My first death in the game comes at 2 minutes 40 seconds. So even though we were in neutral for so long, because we didn't have a full wipe, we were able to consistently leverage that and keep our presence in mid. So I was able to just stay alive, maintain control of our hill, and get 3 ink strikes that were able to make sure that they didn't have the zone for too long to where we absolutely couldn't come back. And that once they had the zone, they weren't able to push us onto our hill and then choke us out of the match. So it's really important that you don't tilt even if your team is down and even if you're losing the match. Because as soon as you do that, and as soon as you just think, oh, I can't win from here, you've already lost the match. If your team is dying more than you think they should be, you have to make it your absolute goal to not only just stay alive, but to control the most essential point on the map. And on Urchin Underpass, that's hill. And, you know, while I made mistakes being overly aggressive in this match, and engaging when I didn't necessarily have to, and having a free death to an Inkzuka, because I made sure to keep control of our hill, once we were able to get control, we were able to maintain control. And again, the special depletion, it only takes a couple times of wasted Inkzukas before we have a differential of special, where they're not going to have their Inkzukas to push back. So it's important to note that at the beginning of the game when you're looking at the compositions and saying, okay, maybe these guys have a more aggressive comp. Their goal is to push us early, but as long as we keep ourselves in it, if they make mistakes, that's when an advantage is going to appear. So you shouldn't ever count yourself out of a match, and you should always be thinking of ways that you can win. And even though you can't control the play of your teammates, you can't control how good they are, you can't control whether they play overly aggressive, you can look at how your team is comprised as far as the weapons, as far as the specials, and you can understand, okay, what do I need to do in this match to win? And that's what you do. And the result is a win on the victory screen and additional points. I DC'd myself down to S, by the way, if you were curious. But I hope that this analysis kind of helped people. This kind of get into my head as a player or as a slosher on this map and this mode, and look forward to me doing this more frequently in the near future. Thanks.